Hey guys, it's Baban, and I'm just going to go over how I sort of simplify torsos and stylize them, and how I use that, my way of simplifying them to exaggerate them and stylize them a bit more. So the first thing I've done is just gone to Google Images and typed in torso references. You'll get these ones coming up in the first couple of results if you go and do that. They're off DeviantArt, and they're ones I've used as reference before. They're pretty good. So yeah, the first thing I want to go over is you obviously need to look at what you're going to be simplifying and what you want to do with it, so you know where everything is. And I'm not going to go over all the little details of like where the muscles are and stuff. I'm just going to go over the basic shape and how I use that and how I'll build it up and use it to build a shape. So if I zoom in here, I've got the skeleton here as well, so we can tell what's what and where all the bones are, because that dictates where the big main lumps of it are. Okay, so I've got one with a load of different angles so you can tell where things go and what the overall shape is. So the first thing I want to do is just start like maybe tracing it like this and seeing what shape everything is. See where things go, and you can see where the rib cage is there. So I'm just figuring out where everything is. And there are the hips. And this doesn't have to be good, it's just like figuring out what the shapes are and where everything is like really blocky. And by doing stuff like this will help you stylize stuff, because then you actually get to see where all the little details are. I mean, as well as the overall shape of something, like, say with this one you can see like the shape of the pecs, shape of the tummy, where the belly button is, and like this is how I make things look. This is just me going over it and showing you where I'd like really define things. Like I'd do that and then that and a little bit there. Like that. And yeah, you can see how my style comes out when I go over it. It's just exaggerating the little details that are there. But yeah, anyway, if you do this and block everything out, on all these different angles, you'll start to see certain shapes that turn up that you can use. And you'll start to see how you can break it down into different parts. Just going to do a few more of these, show you how I go about it. And again, like I say, it doesn't matter if these are really scruffy, because you're just trying to figure out how you define everything in blocks. Like this isn't a part of the video where, well, really with any part of the video, you shouldn't be copying me. You should be finding some reference images like this and doing the same kind of thing. See how I've gone from really just blocky like this, defining where everything is, to actually figuring out how it is that I define those shapes, like that. And that's something for you to figure out on your own, and figure out your own shapes and how you do everything. And once you've figured that out, and you know where everything is, and you obviously know where it is on the skeleton like this, once you've got everything in blocks, you can start messing around with those blocks and moving them around. Now these are pretty straight on, like facing one way, but I've got this bunch as well because it shows more of a twist and like something else you can do with the figure, so it's not just always really blocky and facing one way. You can learn to add a bit more like movement to them and different angles and stuff, so it's not as boring. And a useful thing you can do on this is, like, you can usually see it with the backbone. You'll get a twist like this. Like on this one, it'd come around like, whoop. Or you can usually like see the centre line of where everything is, either going down the chest or down the back. But yeah, now I've made it clear that I define mine in pretty much the block of the chest like this. I'll have the middle like that, and I'll have the hips, and I'll sort of draw in where the arms are as circles so that I know where they're going to be coming from. This, like that. Okay, I'm going to change to a different brush. Okay, so now you've blocked everything out into the shapes you've got. So what you can start doing is messing around with those shapes, like so. And obviously to go and fill these in, you do have to understand anatomy and where things go, but like I say, I'm not going to go into that. I'm just want to talk about stylising and how you go from seeing like an idea in your head and sort of working backwards and blocking it out first, and then learning what you can do with those blocks to make it more interesting, and then adding in the details. So yeah, do one with a wider top. And another thing that I'll do, because it's quite stylised, is I won't use the same proportions as like realistic stuff. Like a lot of the time I'll move the ribcage really high up so that there's like more tummy. Try one like that. And this is very much a case of, you will have heard of different body types, where you'll have like an apple that's like that, you'll have an inverted triangle that's like that. Let's have a go with like a chubby hourglass. It's just a case of throwing shapes together, and you can do this like even more vaguely. You can, it's depending on what level of like cartoony it is, you can do something like that and then that, and you know, that you can make that into a body. It just depends how simplified you want to go with yours, but it does really help to figure out how you want to go about blocking everything into different pieces and into different shapes in your own style. What other shapes are there? There's a pear. Let's do a pear. in the rib cage, tummy, and the hips. Really oblongy. Let's try one with weird shoulders. I mean, you can tell with these though, like, if anyone's seen my stuff, you can tell it's like what my OCs look like. Oh, I sounded like I was 13 when I said that. It's my OCs. Yeah, and you can see already how that is obviously a simplified torso. The next thing I want to go on about, I'll go and clean up some of those later and show you, but I just want to do another quick set. Like I said with these that have more of a twist to them and more of a bit of a curve, one thing I want to mention with that is in animation they use pillows, I think they call them pillows, or beanbags, where they'll do a beanbag like this, they'll give it some little arms and they'll just add in the lines like this. And it takes your mind off thinking of what you're drawing as like a body, and instead you're just concentrating on the form. And because it's got these little like army things, like the little floopy things in the corners, they sort of act as indications of where the arms and the legs are, so you can still get a lot of expression out of it. It reminds me a bit of the flying carpet from Aladdin, because that's like one big blocky shape, but it's got these little arms, little like floopy arms and legs on it, the little tassels at the ends, and you can obviously tell the amount of exaggeration and personification you get just from that, and it's a good way of practicing in a really simple way without, you know, having the thought of, oh, I've got to draw a body, it's got to look like a body. But with this, it is just a case of simplifying it and familiarising yourself with the shapes you use. Oh, computer gives me a hell of a time when I'm trying to use OBS. Manga Studio doesn't want to work. Right. I might do a few more after, and I might leave a sheet of this as a link once I've finished it all for you. Yeah, so what you want to be able to do is apply this kind of thing that you've got going on with the beanbags, or the pillows, whatever you want to call them. You want to be able to apply that to these shapes that you've got. Like, it's pretty easy just to draw them like this straight on and get used to the shapes. And you obviously want to be able to draw them, you know, at different angles, but when you've got references, it's pretty easy to see where all the shapes go and how they move, and, you know, you want to keep in mind the spine shape, like the S shape. But, yeah. The next thing after figuring out how to do from different angles when it's just straight on is figuring out how to do them with movements like these. So, which one shall we try and do? I'm going to try the pear one. So, I'm going to draw this shape from the top, and then I'm going to draw the middle, then I'm going to draw this, and I'm going to make this bit a little more raised up so that it's coming down like this and then up like that, so it's actually, let's curve that one a bit more up so that it's like that. So then we've got this arm's going to be going up and this leg's going to be down. And then this one's going to be up. Pointy butt. Like that. There we go. And something you want to keep in mind with these is you don't want like the same thing to be going on the same side. Like when you're running okay, so let's actually, the top might be a bit big on that one, but there we go, that's fixed it a bit. There we go. Let's do another one with that. And it's just learning to draw the shapes that you've laid out and the ones you've exaggerated. And you can obviously stray from this set of shapes, it's just because that's like a really basic set of shapes that everyone knows because of certain body shapes. Drawing the centre line. That one's a bit straight on. I suppose if I bring the arm more toward this way. It can be a bit difficult to get the hang of, but it's not too bad after a while. A lot of the time what I'll do is I'll just draw a circle like this, and then I'll draw another one, and if I draw a line like that, right, I'm going to pause and sketch a few more of these and clean them up, just to show you what I mean, and then I'll come back. Okay, so on this we will be able to see that I'm adding in a little bit of detail that goes more into how the skin folds and how it folds over the bones and the muscles and everything. But the main focus of what I'm doing is starting with the blocks, and then anything else that I add goes over the top of that. So you can see I've got 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, and then I mark where the arms are. And I added in a little bit of the arms just to show where they are, because it looks a bit weird if you don't add any arms. Trying a few at different angles. Okay, so now I've got the main blocks of everything blocked out, and you can see all them together and how everything's put together before I actually go and clean it up. Now I'm gonna go and clean those up into a finished thing, and like I say with this is something that you need to go and study on your own. I'm just giving you a bit of an idea how to start with it and make it a little bit easier, because sometimes people do try and go straight into something that looks finished first, and it's just good to show the precursor to that and the work you've got to do before you actually start putting in more detail.
What I will say though is I normally would spend more time on these, and I'd probably do one sketch that was a bit less finished looking than I'm doing these, but I'm just doing these in all quick strokes to give you an idea of where it'll end up. But obviously, like I say, I would go and clean them up a bit because there's things wrong with these, but it's just to show you how I build stuff and then clean it up. And this way it's a lot easier and quicker to see how it's gone from something really blocky to something a bit more detailed with more of a fleshy look to it. Okay, and here are the finished ones. What I'm going to do is leave a link in the description to the Photoshop file of this so that you can go and see all the different layers in it. I've written down a step-by-step thing of how I go about everything and what you need to do to figure out how to draw them with a bit more detail, and it's just so you've got something to look at that's a bit more step-by-step if you prefer that kind of thing. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this helped. If it did, give us a like or something. I'll hopefully do more soon, and I'll leave links to all my other stuff in the description where I post stuff. And I want to mention that I'm posting more stuff on my Twitter now pretty much every day because I'm doing sketches and stuff, so I'll leave a link to that as well, so go and follow me if you want to see more stuff that I'm drawing every day. Thanks for watching, bye!